For centuries, the white cliffs of Dover have been the symbol of a Britain cut off from the rest of Europe. And though the ferries have never been busier, and more than 1.5 million Britons cross every year from Dover alone, the Channel is still a great divide. True, you can nip over in a matter of minutes today, and with a family car. But Britain is having to look urgently at her links with the continent. A start was once made here on the link that's been the dream of men for decades, the Channel Tunnel. It's still far from a reality, but a large slice of Britain's transport budget over the next 5 years will go towards building closer transport ties with Europe. And already, the continent is crisscrossed for thousands of miles with European roads, the famous E-roads. They're part of the European ideal, whose symbol is Strasbourg, seat of the Council of Europe and of European parliamentary democracy. The transport network is taking shape today from a blueprint worked out by 13 countries, including Britain. The bridge carrying the road between France and Germany at Strasbourg is aptly named the Europe Bridge. Along with Luxembourg, France and Germany have opened up the heart of Europe by canalizing the Moselle River to allow it to take ships up to 1,500 tons, a £70 million combined operation to deepen the river along its 170-mile length between Thionville and Koblenz. "13 locks, 2 in France, 2 on the German-Luxembourg border, and 9 in Germany, and dams at each lock supplying hydroelectric power. Millions of cubic feet of earth and rocks shifted from the embankment and the riverbed. It all means lower transport costs and direct access to the Ruhr for the great steelworks of Thionville and Luxembourg, as well as an outlet to the Europort at Rotterdam. And now they're talking of the day when steel will go right from the heart of Europe to the new nations of Africa via new waterways and the port of Marseilles, when there'll be a canal all the way from the Mediterranean to the North Sea. Here at Rendsburg, another canal, the Kiel, connecting the North Sea with the Baltic, was in the path of the engineers building another European road, the E3, linking Stockholm with North Germany, and eventually Paris and Lisbon. So they took the traffic under the ships. The Baltic also gets in the way of another E-road, the E4, linking Scandinavia with North Germany. So up went this new bridge, more than half a mile long, over the channel between Germany and the Baltic island of Fehmarn. Now the E4 continues to the northern tip of the island, where they built this new ferry harbour at Puttgarden. Cars travelling between Denmark and Germany still have part of the Baltic to cross, but the voyage has been cut from 50 miles to 15, to Rodby Harbour in Denmark. Now the journey is down from 3 hours to 1. Opening the new route, King Frederick of Denmark and the President of the Federal German Republic, Dr. Lübke. The ferry boat itself does the ribbon cutting, and the route used twice a year by migrating birds from Northern Europe is open to traffic. Another strand in Europe's transport web is spun. Another natural barrier overcome for an international road linking people as far apart as the Finns and the Portuguese. Of all the obstacles in the way of those who are changing the face of Europe's transport system, none is more intimidating than the Alpine ranges. Mountain passes with breathtaking views, but only of use to motorists for 5 months in every year. The rest of the time blocked by snow and ice. The answer? To blast tunnels through the mountains for roads that can be used all the year round, whatever the conditions. Today, the roads have been made. One right under the towering Mont Blanc, a 7-mile highway that slices 125 mountain miles off the run from Paris to Rome. The other some 50 miles to the east, here under the Great St. Bernard, and joining Italy with Geneva and the heart of France. On either side of the 3 3/4 mile tunnel, roofed roads to protect against snow and avalanches, and running 3.5 miles on the Swiss side and more than 6 miles on the Italian. It's another conquest of the Great St. Bernard. It follows the pattern of legend. Not that this tough beauty will ever face the job of rescuing stranded motorists. And the pattern of history. For this was the route Hannibal took on that classic march with his elephants back in 218 BC. Now, 2,000 feet beneath the Great St. Bernard summit, a modern highway with 8 lay-bys and 45 niches in case of accident or breakdown. And the tunnel also carries the oil pipeline running from Genoa to Switzerland and Germany. The tunnel's capacity, 500 cars an hour, with an estimated 250,000 cars using it every year. Some of Europe's feats of transport engineering are not only helping the tourists, they're attracting them too. At Innsbruck, the bridge called Europa, 600 feet above the river. It's gone up to ease the traffic flow along yet another E-road, the E6, running from Berlin to Rome. It took 4 years' work and more than £7.5 million to build. A 6-lane boon to motorists heading south for the sun. A gem of modern design. But when it comes to triumphs of road design and engineering, the Italians take some beating. In an age when motorways have become commonplace, here's one that's little short of fantastic. The Autostrada del Sole, Highway of the Sun. A 550-mile toll road stretching from Milan to Naples via Bologna, Florence and Rome. It's the pride of Italy. A Roman road of the 60s with 81 tunnels, 300 major bridges and some 3,800 smaller ones. The cost? More than £100 million. A motorist's dream of a road, a 100 miles an hour road, curving through the Apennines, sweeping over mile-deep gorges and through mile-deep mountains. It's enough to whet the appetite of even the least food-conscious motorist. And you can break for a meal any time of day or night at this restaurant over the road halfway to Florence. And there's pasta on the menu. Less than an hour's drive ahead, and some 200 miles from the start of the Autostrada, Florence. Like many another of Italy's tourist centres, the old city is gaining from the Highway of the Sun. And that's what the Italians intended, for the Autostrada was built with foreign tourists in mind. Not since these Florentine bridges were built over the Arno has bridge building come into its own as much as it has today in Europe. The Europa Bridge is a symbol. Almost wherever you look, the barriers to the free flow of traffic across a continent are disappearing. The days of the English Channel as one of the biggest of these barriers are numbered.